Spanning the planet. You've landed at the pet entertainment center of the universe. Alert the paparazzi. This is Pet Life Radio, the ultimate animal adventure.
And good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, as the case may be, as we're just hitting that just afternoon time here in the East Coast, here on the West Coast, 9 a.m. A lovely Sunday morning here. Not as lovely as last week. For those of you who joined us last week, I was live from Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, down at the Baja California Peninsula, and it was just amazing. I mean, it's crazy to think that some parts of the country are like in major snow and cold weather coming on. Up even here in Southern California, up in the mountains, at night it's already been freezing and below. They've already gotten some snow, and an hour plane ride away, an hour and a half away, and it's 90 degrees and hot and gorgeous and humid, sunny, etc. Anyway, back to reality, back to some insanity this week at the office, as I would expect. Nothing less. It's like every time I'm gone, I think, okay, great, this is great. I'm going to have a vacation. And I'm allowed, I think. I work pretty hard. I'm 5 days a week. I don't know many of my classmates who've been out, over 30 years that are still working 5-6 days a week. But I am one of those idiots that is. Anyway, it was great to have a break. But inevitably, I get back. And it is so crazy busy because people, unless they have a real emergency, oh no, Dr. Warburstein, when's he due back? Oh, he'll be back next week. Oh, okay, it can wait. So before you know it, I'm double or triple booked, and I have walk-ins, and I don't think there was one night after I got back that I was not there till at least 9 p.m. So I guess it's like pay me now or pay me later. I'm gonna get beat up regardless. But it was a great time. Anyway. Thanks for joining us here on Pet Life Radio. I know you might have other better things to do on Sunday. I doubt it, but it's good to have you here. I want to get a hold of you. You want to get a hold of me. So you can join us live here on Pet Life Radio. The number 877-385-8882. Once again, 877-385-8882. That's our phone number, toll free. Just come on in. You can also join us in the conversation. You can just log on to petliferadio.com. And we will get you can kind of click on the Ask the Vets tab with Dr. Jeff, and you can join us here live. And we want to talk about anything. You have a question, you have a problem, you don't understand something your veterinarian tried to explain to you about a condition, a process, and you want a little more information. If you have a tough decision to make, I mean, it's amazing how much I do that now. As many of my patients, when you practice a long time, you have a lot of old patients. And you also have a lot of patients, unfortunately, that are no longer with us. But I think it's very difficult for many, many clients to know when is the right time. So it's really also kind of something I do a lot of is help with that process. So let's hear from you. And once again, I want to thank our sponsors, Prosense Pet Products and Kong, for helping us be here with you live on air. So while you guys are getting the courage to give us a call, I like to sort of scan some of the pet news sites. One of them it's called the Animal Health Smart Brief. It's put out by the American Veterinary Medical Association. And I was just copying down some interesting things. First of all, there's a great story, and these are terrific stories. And I've heard them similar, but whether they're glitz, whether they're kind of made up, I don't know. But this one's real, and that it's about a two dogs that sort of got out. I think it was Barney and Marley. And one was a Great Pyrenees and one was a Shepherd mix. And someone left the door ajar. The dogs got out. And sadly, the Shepherd mix, I think it was Barney, was hit by a car and killed. And it turns out that the Pyrenees sat with him for hours. They didn't specify how long, but long enough. It could have been a day or so. Just sat there, people driving by. He had no ID on him. So the local word started going out, and obviously the owners came home to find their door was open and two dogs gone. So they started doing their search, and they finally did find and claim the Pyrenees. But how sad is that? I mean, it's amazing how we don't really know. We don't really understand. We know pretty much how our dogs and cats bond with us, but it's so interesting to note how amazingly well they bond with each other in many cases. Sometimes they don't. I think it's more so in dogs. I hear so often. I'm continuously talking to owners about their cats, and they have a situation where they had a cat or had two, and want to introduce a third, and it doesn't always go so well. I think that in the long haul, as I have many, it works out fine. It always has with me, and I think there's a reason for that. But I think that generally with cats, it's not as predictably going to be good. You will have cats that sometimes at best may tolerate each other. You may introduce a new cat, and the new cat and the resident cat never tolerate each other. They're always at odds. They're always fighting and hissing, vying for your attention. Dogs, however, are a little bit more social, so they figure out a way to work into their social structure. And interestingly, my son, who we kind of adopted one of his dogs because he was at home. He got himself a Frenchie named Denzel, and every time he would take Denzel, after he moved and got his own place, when he would take Denzel over there, Denzel was so depressed. And I think what happened was he missed clearly the insanity and our other dogs. We had 4 other dogs, so he decided to bring Denzel back home. So Denzel is happy as can be here, loves when my son comes over, but he really belongs here with the other 4 dogs. So that brought us up to 5. So he then got another Frenchie, and he was and that dog, when he first came over here, again, there was all the little growling and the little nipping and the hair going up, the hackles going up in the back, and it took maybe, I don't know, an hour, half hour, and now he's part of the gang also. But my son he was on one of the websites that was a bulldog rescue website of Southern California. And there was a 9-year-old, well, they said 9, we found out it was actually 8, male English bull that was really neglected. It's hard to say abused because I don't think he was abused, but certainly neglected. His skin was terrible. He was skinny. He was a little fearful, like he was very head shy. I mean, you could just tell he needed a loving home. And so my son thought that, hey, why not bring him in? First of all, it would be great for Carlos, the new Frenchie, to have a playmate. And secondly, even though English bulldogs aren't going to typically live to 15, but even if he can give him 3, 4, 5 good years, that's better than the life he's had. So he brings this dog home. We check him out. Actually, looks pretty good. In fact, I did a blood test on him. He's right now, from a health perspective, he's amazing. And it maybe took a few days at best. And you should see the 2 of these dogs, Carlos and now his name is Mo, play. It's unbelievable to me. You couldn't train a dog to do any better. And this was unreal. And then when he brought Mo over to our house for the first time with 5 other dogs, it was the only one, actually, the worst one was little Denzel, who I think maybe, even though I think Denzel still thinks he's my son's dog, even though he lives here and he's thrilled with the other dogs, and he's got the life of Riley here. And yet he was the only one that was a little bit jealous about Mo's introduction. It didn't last very long. I mean, they all play now. So now it's like when they come over, we have 7 dogs. Who needs a dog park? Just come to Jeff's house. It's great. They have such a great time. So anyway, that was a good story in Smart Beef. Another thing that they had with holidays coming, I think this is important to know. And for the next couple of weeks, we will be talking a lot about holidays, cold weather tips, etc. Traveling with your pets. That's a good one. We're going to talk about that coming up. But just as a reminder, as we decorate our homes, it's a very festive time. It's a very joyous time, but you need to be careful because there are some plants, for example, oleander, sago palm, castor bean plant, interestingly. And of course, we've talked a lot about it, lilies, can be very, very, very toxic to our pets. Lilies and cats, especially. Oleander, interestingly, is the drug digitalis. It's a or digitoxin or digoxin. These are all the cardiac glycosides. These are derivatives of oleander. So just as we know, certain, you could take some plants that a lot of the stuff that we use, penicillin came from a mold. So there are a lot of drugs that we use. And one of them, for example, the older fashioned, but still very readily available flea killer comes from chrysanthemum. Pyrethrins, natural pyrethrins come from chrysanthemum, which is, again, a cute little flower. So be very, very wary, be very, very cautious. There are tons of websites you can go on to look at and to see what plants, what around my house that I think I'm going to pull out for the holidays that could be dangerous to my pets, and become familiar with it. And as you decorate, you should sort of keep these things in mind. Speaking of which, there are also some that are overrated. For example, poinsettia. I read somewhere that a dog would have to eat about a bushel of poinsettia, and it wouldn't be actually any ingredient or active agent within the plant itself that's the toxic or the problem. It's going to be the physical amount of leaves causing a blockage or something inside the intestine. So, and a dog could eat that much cardboard, and cardboard itself is not toxic, but if you eat a bushel of it, you're going to have a pretty sick dog. So some of these things are overrated, as we've discussed recently. Chocolate, milk chocolate, the one that's most commonly found in most of the things that most people eat, is not nearly as toxic as, say, dark chocolate or baker's chocolate, or the unsweetened pure cocoa chocolate. That's the bad stuff. That's the stuff we have to worry about. The methylxanthines, the caffeine. So the theobromine, that's the stuff that will cause the problem. So, oh, by the way, speaking of toxins, we talked about this a while back about the xylitol. So I had written a little article, blog, I don't know, some magazine needed it, so I put something together. And this week I had 2 interviews just because of xylitol toxicity. And what's so interesting in talking to my good friend who's been a guest on my show, Dr. Justine Lee, who is boarded in emergency medicine, critical care, and in toxicology, that one of the articles I read, which is a few years old now, was talking about how xylitol got so important in the first place. It's really not that great a sugar substitute. It's only like 40% less sugar, or one report I read, 33% less sugar. So it's still got 2/3 the calories of sugar. And yet it causes all these problems in dogs because of insulin and hypoglycemia. At higher doses, it can cause what we call, hepatic or liver diseases, liver necrosis, hepatic necrosis. But they did promote it for having certain benefits for people. The reason why it was found so often in many oral care products is they found it was somewhat antibacterial in the mouth, which, of course, we know our mouth is loaded with bacteria. And they said it had some immune stimulation properties, and therefore it was okay for kids. Well, it turns out now, according to Dr. Lee, that a lot of these pro points, the pros of xylitol in the first place for at least people, are now being debunked. Not true. They're doing more research. They're finding out that it's not the case. It's not as beneficial as was once thought. So therefore, there's really no reason for it anyway. And one of the things that when I was on an interview on WebMD, I think they call it Radio MD. I was on this week, and we got to talk the subject about pets, of course, and xylitol toxicity, and I mentioned peanut butter. And interestingly, because I've never seen it, I still like good old fashioned peanut butter, but apparently, the host of the show had some of the sugar-free or low-calorie peanut butter sweetened with, of course, xylitol. So when we think about things that we so commonly do or did, for example, grapes. How often? I used to do it all the time. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. I would sit down and have my dog sit. I love to watch him catch, and I would take the grapes out and toss them in the air, and he would jump up and grab the grapes. And now I find out 5 years later, I could be poisoning my dog. And same thing with xylitol. You have that pill. You know you want to make the pill fun to give. You don't want them opening his mouth and shoving it down his throat and getting to hate your guts. So what do? You wrap it in peanut butter. Plus, it's really funny to watch a dog eat peanut butter. And all of a sudden now you find out that if the peanut butter is an unsweetened or a low-cal peanut butter, you could be actually, poisoning your dog with xylitol. Anyway, don't go away. It's that halfway point in our show. It goes so fast. So don't go away. We'll be back in a minute here on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. See you in a minute.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
I'm home. My hair looks cute. Now what?
Bringing home a puppy or new dog is exciting, and he's depending on you to keep him in good health. Dogs need special care to keep them healthy as they grow throughout their entire life. Caring for their health is critical in all stages. With Prosense, it's simple and convenient to give your dog the care it needs with effective and quality products that treat, prevent, and provide essential daily vitamins and minerals. Prosense products are veterinary formulated and recommended to ensure the very best for your pet. Try Prosense today. Your dog will thank you for it. Pets love life. Love them back with Prosense.
Do you know that moment when your dirty dog's about to jump in your nice, clean car? You can avoid all the cleanup and mess with a 4K9 seat cover. 4K9s makes heavy-duty seat covers and cargo liners that will blend seamlessly with the interior of your vehicle. You can find us at 4K9s.com. That's the number 4, KNINES.com, or on Amazon.com. 4K9s makes nothing but the best for your best friend.
Nature at its best is nature at its simplest. At Red Barn, we've kept it simple for 20 years by concentrating on single-ingredient natural dog treats. Because Mother Nature's actually pretty good at this. Bones are just tasty bones. Meat treats are just nourishing meat. It's nature at its simplest. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Natural Treats. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Try our slow-roasted, natural meaty bones.
It's designerpetsweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit designerpetsweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. designerpetsweaters.com.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio Talk and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand only from Pet Life Radio.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And welcome back. You are here live with Dr. Jeff Werber, your host, here on Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. We want to hear from you. Simply 877-385-8882. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. Let's talk about pets. Let's talk about your pets. Let's talk about holidays, traveling, whatever you want to talk about. Medical stuff. I love it all. You can also just join the conversation here. Just log into PetLifeRadio.com. Click on the Ask the Vets tab. And you can do it that way too. If you don't want to hear yourself on radio, online, you can also, I think there might be a Google Hangout way to join the conversation and actually be seen. And if not, we're working on that. So that's another good thing. Anyway, I told you I was reading the Smart Brief, and I found this interesting also, that, there are a number of diseases. We call them zoonotic diseases. These are the diseases that can start in animals and can be transmitted to people. And one of them, another one that we, of course, rabies. So then there are certain infectious, a lot of fungal diseases can be transmitted. So even some pediatricians think that pink eye, that if you have a dog with conjunctivitis, that they can give it to the kids too. So, but there is a new one that I found interesting. Not that I treat these vermins, these creatures. I don't know who does. Actually, I do know who does. Exotic veterinarians might, and the zoo vets certainly do. But they found a respiratory virus. It's a coronavirus in the Chinese horseshoe bat that is transmissible to people. And it is one of the agents that they say causes SARS, which is an acute respiratory syndrome. So I thought that was pretty interesting that, here's something from of all animals, creatures, a bat that can actually affect us as well. So, something to, for me, it's more the concept, conceptually, how we share so many diseases. We can benefit each other, the human side and the animal side, from research done within these diseases. I actually think that, from what I understand, a vaccine for the immunodeficiency viruses like AIDS and the feline immunodeficiency virus, probably we're closer on the veterinary side to finding out how to vaccinate, because in the very element, the very nature of the virus is immunosuppression. Well, when you inject a vaccine, you're giving that virus, and it's usually in a killed form, or it's in what we call an attenuated or a modified live form. So it can't cause the disease. But to do that with these reverse transcriptate RNA viruses, that especially those like feline AIDS and feline leukemia virus, that within their very nature, they cause immunosuppression. So you're trying to stimulate the immune system, but pretty hard to do that with something that's suppressing the immune system. So that has always been the challenge in making a vaccine for these infections. But what they're, I guess, trying to do is come up with something that antigenically looks like the real thing, but doesn't have the immunosuppressive property. And I think that's where the difficulty is. An immunologist, I'm not, but you would think that if it was so easy, it would have happened a long time ago. So clearly, it's a challenge. I was reading one of the other websites that I kind of peruse. I'm on the mailing list. It's called Pet Place, written by a colleague, a veterinarian. And I thought it was, when I first read it, I said, yeah, this is kind of cute, but unnecessary. And then that very same week, this past week, I'm examining a cat, and cat looked pretty good, but was a little off. And one of the first things that go in a sick cat is their self-grooming. And the cat was kind of feeling better, but the coat was a little dry, flaky, some mats. I mean, it needed some help. So I told the owner that, I think this week would be good. I was going to give her shampoo, and told her she should give her cat a bath. And she about freaked. She goes, I'm not giving this cat a bath. I said, why? It's so easy. And I realized what's easy for us may not be easy for you. So just in the last few minutes, I want to give you a couple of pointers how to bathe a cat. Well, here's some of the no's, the don'ts. Cats freak out with running water. A lot of cats don't like to be sprayed in the face. So what I recommend doing is one of the easy, get a bucket, depending on the size of your cat. You can get one of those trays that busboys use when they clear a table. Or you can also get like I just do it in the sink. So what I do is I will fill the sink with water, maybe halfway up, so the cat is almost wet to the shoulders area, not the head and neck for sure. Or if you can get one of those sprayers, like those pot sprayers, but just let the water trickle. Don't let it run fast and hard. Use just lukewarm, warm water. It doesn't have to be hot, certainly not cold. And get a good, shampoo, talk to your veterinarian, getting a good mild shampoo. And the first thing you want to do is either gently submerge the cat. The key is never let the cat go. If you can keep two hands most of the time, obviously it's preferable, but at least one hand. And it doesn't even have to be like a heart, as long as the cat knows that it is being somewhat held. So it could be just a hand on the shoulders. It could be a scruff. Just make sure you have that control. What I like to do is I like to put the soap down the back, or you can already have pre-mixed soap. And then you can just put your hand in a container of the pre-mixed soap, like a smaller little container, a bucket, a jar, and you can gently pour it on the cat, lather up. And again, I just only work really with direct soap, direct lather, direct shampoo up to about the neck, shoulders, and neck area. Then what I do is, as I have the cat lathered up, I will take my hand, take some of the lather, and gently come on the top of the head, around the cheeks, underneath the neck, the snout, making sure I don't get any in the eyes. In fact, it wouldn't be a bad idea. You can actually get from your veterinarian or even some pet stores a mild eye lube. It's basically artificial tears in an ointment form. So it kind of looks like, it looks like a Neosporin or something, but it's just a little petroleum gel, and you can put that in the eyes. Now, one thing though, I caution. People do that, and if soap gets in the eyes, they say, oh, it's okay because I have that lube in, it's protected. No, because what happens is that lube now acts as a wick, and the stuff just sits there. So you still want to be a bit more aggressive if you do get soap or shampoo or lather in the eyes, to rinse the eyes off immediately. There's nothing worse than a very superficial erosion in a dog or a cat from being bathed, because it hurts like hell. And they start rubbing and they start tearing, and their eyes get conjunctivitis. Be very careful. You don't want any kind of soap, even if it's a baby tears, baby shampoo, it's still going to sting a cat or a dog. So you have your cat, and then after he's lathered up, you let the lather sit. If it's a medicated kind of shampoo, you should have at least 5 minutes, 7 minutes of contact time. And then it's time to rinse off. At that point, you can either dump out the water and refill the sink, or again, you could take a pot sprayer, very gentle. What a good idea might be is you can take like a washcloth, thin, or a rag, and you put it under or sort of around the pot sprayer handle and put a rubber band over it so it stays there. Now, when you push the handle and the water comes out, it's not spraying at all. It's kind of like a thick drip. And that way it doesn't freak the cat out. It doesn't make the sound. And these cats do well. So really, it is not that difficult to bathe the cat. And one thing I'd recommend for all of you out there that have young cats, even kittens, it's a great idea to start doing it now and let it become just part of a grooming. Cats usually don't need to be bathed, but if it's better to have a cat used to it and not have to bathe them than a cat that is going to tear you apart because it needs a bath because of some sort of medical or skin problem. And one last thing, another trick of the trade. Typically when we bathe, we trim nails. What you want to do is make sure that you trim the nails before the bath instead of during. Your arms will love you for that. Anyway, thanks for joining us here on Pet Life Radio. Once again, your host, Dr. Jeff Werber. We will be here next week. I hope I will be traveling. I'm speaking overseas, but we're going to try to see if I can hook up via Skype or Google Hangout or something. So Mark, my producer, and I here on Pet Life Radio are going to work on that. But if not, if we don't make it work, I'll be back in 2 weeks. So don't go away and think about questions, especially when it comes to holidays, holiday foods, holiday decorations, traveling. If you're going to go on vacation with your pets, I want to hear from you. We can talk about it and hopefully help everybody else as well. Once again, thanks to our sponsors, Prosense, Pet Products, and Kong. Have a great week, everybody.